So I'm trying to get in on this guy, Ilia Topuria. Hey, Ilia Topuria has been something else. Ever since the moment he announced that he was going up to 155, clearly, because he's such a big star, people will start to talk about him. Ilia Topuria has had a lot to say. Ilia Topuria is phenomenal. Let's call it what it is. He's a great fighter. He's undefeated. He's a world champion. He knocks people out. He really has become a true star because watching how all this has worked out from the outside, I see now, or I can respect the type of cachet that he has. He's not just another fighter.
Ilia Topuria's undefeated streak and devastating power have made him a UFC sensation, with Daniel Cormier touting him as a beast. A potential clash with Charles Oliveira is now the division's most anticipated blockbuster, promising unprecedented stakes and spotlight. Ilia Topuria's rise in the UFC has caught the attention of many, including former champion Daniel Cormier. Cormier praised Topuria's flawless form, undefeated record, and knockout power. He called him a phenomenal fighter and a promotional goldmine. Topuria's move to 155 and bold presence, according to Cormier, make him one of the most dangerous and marketable names today. He described Topuria simply as a beast.
So I'm trying to get in on this guy, Ilia Topuria. Hey, Ilia Topuria has been something else. Ever since the moment he announced that he was going up to 155, clearly, because he's such a big star, people will start to talk about him. But ultimately, it was a lot of people talking before, and he didn't have much to say. But lately, Ilia Topuria has had a lot to say. Ilia Topuria is phenomenal. Let's call it what it is. He's a great fighter. He's undefeated. He's a world champion. He knocks people out. He really has become a true star.
While Ilia Topuria's imposing presence might instill fear in many, it doesn't resonate with the lightweight elite, particularly Islam Makhachev and Charles Oliveira, despite some speculation that Islam ducked Topuria before his move to a higher weight class. This notion is unfounded. True fighters like Islam, who has known the sport for years, and others such as Charles Oliveira, are driven by challenge and competition, not fear. For these seasoned competitors, the prospect of facing another fighter is simply part of their craft, where intimidation takes a back seat to the desire to compete.
Ilia Topuria is a cool guy, but I kind of disagree. I know for sure Islam Makhachev is not afraid of him. I'll tell you this, as a person that's a friend of Islam, a person that's known Islam for years and years, he's not afraid of him. So while Ilia Topuria may strike some fear in most, or some, Islam's not afraid of him. And honestly, I'll be honest with you, like, neither is Justin Gaethje, neither is Charles Oliveira, neither is Dustin Poirier or Michael Chandler. Those guys aren't afraid of each other. They're fighters. And when you're a fighter, fear is kind of the last thing that crosses your mind in regards to another fighter, especially if all you have to do is fight them.
Taking it a step further, Daniel labeled a potential clash between Topuria and Charles Oliveira as the biggest fight the lightweight division could offer right now. He emphasized that while Oliveira is eager for another title shot, there aren't many contenders rushing to face someone as dangerous as Topuria. Still, Cormier believes the high risk comes with even higher rewards. Defeating Topuria could instantly elevate a fighter's reputation and fast-track them to title contention. With both men being explosive fan-favorite finishers, Cormier sees this matchup as a true blockbuster in the making, one that the UFC can't afford to miss.
Charles wants a title fight. There's so many people that seem to have a clear idea of what their direction is, that's why I think they don't want to fight Ilia. But ultimately, to fight Ilia is to be in the biggest fight that the weight class can give you right now. Because watching how all this has worked out from the outside, I see now, or I can respect the type of cachet that he has. He's not just another fighter. Ilia Topuria carries some weight with him, and I believe that of all those guys, because we've seen it before.
Meanwhile, Joe Rogan also weighed in on the potential lightweight clash between Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira, pointing out the risks and rewards of such a move. Rogan acknowledged Topuria's dangerous striking and impressive reach, which could serve him well in the 155-pound division. However, he stressed that giving up the featherweight title and its lucrative pay-per-view points would require financial incentives. According to Rogan, Topuria's decision is not about ducking competition, It's driven by the extreme difficulty of cutting weight to 145 pounds, making proper business terms a vital component of any possible jump in divisions.
Your first introduction at 55, he's kind of the, you know, the king
so
of 55
tall
and dangerous.
So dangerous everywhere, dangerous striking, huge reach advantage.
Yeah. But if you're Topuria, you're not going to go up to 55 without some sort of guarantee. Because remember, he's giving up the belt, so he's not getting pay-per-view points.
But it's his idea.
Well, because the weight cut's too tough.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Topuria himself believes that his undefeated status gives him a major psychological edge over a veteran like Charles Oliveira. He argued that a perfect record brings a different level of confidence, something he claims fighters with multiple losses can't replicate. Topuria further asserted that Oliveira tends to retreat into his guard when in trouble, which he views as a mental gap. From Topuria's perspective, his unwavering mindset and unblemished record offer him a distinct mental advantage in high-stakes matchups.
This is what I was telling you before, like when you got 10 losses in your record, that's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's 10.
Yeah.
Like when you walk in with a guy that has 10 losses, the level of confidence is completely different. It's completely different than when you walk in with a guy that it's undefeated.
Right.
He's a dangerous guy in the striking, in the ground game. Everywhere you look at him, he's a dangerous guy. He never takes a lose. That's a different mentality. You gotta have to kill him to give up. He's not gonna even give up. You gotta have to kill him. In the case of Charles, if he finds some adversity, he's gonna go to the ground. He's gonna sit and he's gonna be waiting like till you end up the fight.
That said, Michael Bisping offered a sharp reminder of what makes Charles Oliveira such a terrifying matchup for anyone in the lightweight division. Citing Oliveira's UFC record of 15 submissions, Bisping underlined his unmatched finishing ability and technical diversity on the ground. With arm bars, guillotines, triangles, and Darce chokes in his arsenal, Oliveira is a constant threat from every position. Bisping emphasized that no fighter can afford to relax on the mat against Do Bronx, whose relentless pursuit of finishes makes him one of the most dangerous grapplers the sport has ever seen.
Number 4, the man has totally reinvented himself. Look, listen, 2018, he started off losing 4 of his last 6 fights. That's never a good sign. At featherweight, he lost 8 times, including being finished 7 times, a variety of submissions and knockouts. I truly believe that was because of the weight cut. The weight cut affects your cardio, your gas tank. The longer the fight goes on, you get more and more tired. It also affects your ability to take a shot. Now, because of those losses, there was always talk that, you know, Charles Oliveira, he's a great fighter, but he can never win the big ones. And that sounds familiar. That's what people used to say about me. But look at this guy now. He is now on a 10-fight win streak in the lightweight division with back-to-back wins over Tony Ferguson, Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier, right? The man at 155 is an absolute killer. You need to forget about featherweight because that is all in the past.
Moving on, Daniel Cormier said Charles Oliveira faced Beneil Dariush nearly 2 years ago, and by the time they stepped into the octagon, Oliveira was a plus 250 underdog. That's wild considering how the fight played out. Sure, credit to Dariush, he came in on an impressive 8-fight win streak and had his moments of control, but even when Charles was on his back, it never felt like he was in real danger. It actually seemed like he was comfortable there, and the second he chose to get up, he exploded, launching into Dariush like he'd been shot out of a cannon. He overwhelmed him, secured the finish, and reminded everyone exactly why he once held the lightweight title.
Charles Oliveira fought Beneil Dariush, and by the time they walked into the octagon, Charles Oliveira was plus 250. That's crazy, because it's hard for me to watch that fight and think, how could he have been that big of an underdog? Look, hats off to Beneil Dariush for what he did. He had won 8 fights in a row, but in that fight, he was in it when he was in control, but it almost felt like Charles was okay being on his back, because the moment he decided to get up, he got up. And when he got up, he let everything go. He went after Dariush like he had been shot out of a cannon, and he finished him. And he showed once again why he was the lightweight champion.
Ben Askren weighed in, praising Topuria's ambition, but also acknowledging the enormity of the challenge. In Askren's view, Oliveira is not just another name, he's one of the greatest lightweights in MMA history. A win over him, according to Askren, would immediately validate Topuria's place at 155 pounds and unlock his path to double champion status. However, Askren added a word of caution: keep the featherweight belt in sight. If Diego Lopes or another contender makes noise, Topuria might need to circle back.
You know, there are a little bit bigger fish to fry at 155. You know, if he goes and beats Charles Oliveira, huge name, that secures a shot, and you know, yeah, 2-division champion, that's a huge deal. I think don't relinquish your featherweight belt, hold it in case Lopes puts on a really great performance, then go take him on.
You know his name is Lopez, right? Like, I mean, it literally
Lopez
just looks like Lopez.
Well, I had this guy I knew. No. Because I had this guy who was Brazilian, early training partner, Lucas Lopes, Lopes. So when I see it, I just like say it out of habit.
Meanwhile, Khabib Nurmagomedov offered a more grounded perspective, pointing out that Topuria hasn't truly earned an immediate title shot at lightweight by traditional standards. In his opinion, other top contenders have been grinding for their chance and shouldn't be overlooked. Still, Khabib admitted that if Topuria can beat someone like Charles Oliveira, who sits at the very top of the food chain, then no one could deny him the crown. Intriguingly, Khabib also believes Topuria has the tools to actually win, giving extra weight to the matchup.
I think if he move up and he beat somebody like Dustin Poirier or Charles Oliveira, he's next on the line. Why not? Because there is nobody.
So you don't think right now Ilia deserves a shot at 155 pounds?
Without fighting in 155? Without? No, I don't agree. Because Islam already give chance, and people talk bad about like, oh, he fight 2 times with Volkanovski, but the UFC push this fight, and this fight was good in first fight, but why Islam have to give 3 times chance for 145 champion? Why? It's not fair for 155 pounds.
Right.
But if he move up and he beat somebody like Charles Oliveira, of course.
Yeah.
And
I like that.
And I think, you know what I think?
Yeah.
I think he can beat him.
Yeah.
I think he can beat him.
I like Charles, but I think so too.
Charles Oliveira, the man at the center of it all, sees things with clear eyes. He respects Topuria's rise and acknowledges his skill set, calling him a great fighter. But this isn't about validation for Oliveira. With the most submissions in UFC history and a former reign as champion, he doesn't need to prove anything. He views this fight as a moment to reclaim what's his and send a message, stating flatly that he plans to knock out this guy and remind the world why he ruled the lightweight division.
What are your thoughts on Ilia Topuria and Ilia Topuria as a fighter? How do you feel about just the overall fight?
É uma grande luta. Ele é um grande lutador, mas eu não preciso provar nada pra ninguém, que eu sou que eu vou feliz aí pra dentro da Stickleja. Mas só chegou na oportunidade gigantesca, eu vou nocautear esse cara. Essa é. He's gonna knock this guy out.
In another interview, Oliveira doubled down on his respect for Topuria's hunger. He talks the talk and walks the walk. Oliveira admitted understanding the mindset of a champion who dares to chase greatness. But Charles quickly followed up with a reality check. Lightweight is a dangerous division, full of killers, and Topuria should be very careful before assuming it's his for the taking. Still, the Brazilian acknowledged that Ilia is no ordinary challenger. He's a very tough and very dangerous guy and deserves to be taken seriously.
Cara, o Ilia Topuria cara que duríssimo, cara que fala e vem fazendo.
Ilia is a tough fighter, someone who talks the talk and walks the walk. He's doing things, and I can see why he would want to challenge people, and I think a lot of people, he would be obviously a tough fight, and I think that what happens is a lot of fighters, whenever they get a belt and they wrap that, they have that belt wrapped around their waist, they start thinking up and down in the divisions and you want to challenge things. But I think you have to be very careful when you're coming up to lightweight, because this is tough. This is a very tough division. But at any rate, I think he's a very tough and very dangerous guy.
But when asked about Topuria's confidence and knockout predictions, Oliveira didn't flinch. "I fought lions," he said coolly. He's just another one. That calm, almost icy demeanor comes from years of surviving the UFC's most violent battles. Oliveira reminded fans that fighters always come in believing they'll finish him, but he always rises from the ashes. Experience experience, grit, and chaos-tested resilience are his weapons, and he plans to wield them fully against the confident Spaniard.
Então, eu tô em busca do título. Eu não corro de ninguém, nunca corri, não vai ser agora que eu vou correr. Eu tô pronto para lutar contra qualquer um desses caras, né? Respeito todos eles, mas vou imprimir meu ritmo, meu jogo. Por que não, né? Se for pelo título, por que não lutar com o Topuria? Eu tô em busca do título, eu não quero fazer mais uma luta para poder esperar o título, não. Isso, pra mim isso não me interessa, eu quero lutar pelo título. Tô gritar lá, a molecada gritar, tal, tinha acabado o treino, tal. Pega o telefone, peguei o telefone, milhares de mensagens, eu fui direto pro Diego já. E aí, é isso, vambora, tamo pronto, 46 dias. 46 dias para esse cinturão voltar para onde que ele nunca devia ter saído. Só vamos se apegar no que a gente tem que se apegar, manter o foco e fazer acontecer.
On the other side, Ilia Topuria isn't backing down from the fire. In his interviews, he's been crystal clear. Oliveira has never faced someone like him. Topuria believes his striking is on another level, and he's sure that once I touch him, he will go down. The ground game? Not a problem. He's been training extensively with black belts and believes he's ready for whatever Charles brings to the mat. Topuria's approach is fearless and focused, exactly what fans love and opponents dread.
No le he faltado, he dicho la verdad, tiene 10 derrotas, no he dicho otra cosa. Tiene 10 derrotas, 5 por knockout, 4 por sumisión, 1 por decisión. Dice que es la división más difícil que hay. Cuando él estaba peleando en 145, hasta Cub Swanson le ha metido una paliza. Ahí se tiene que acabar la conversación. Algo que no pudo conseguir en 145 libras, lo consiguió en 155, que se convirtió en campeón del mundo. Entonces, ¿por qué esa división es más difícil que de la que yo vengo? O sea, no le encuentro ninguna lógica, y por eso dije también que parece que no se ha leído ni la hoja de un periódico. Así que si eso es una falta de respeto, yo no sé desde cuándo decir la verdad es una falta de respeto.
Justin Gaethje, one of the few who has gone to war with Oliveira, offered a chilling reminder of what Topuria is walking into. Gaethje compared Charles to a storm you don't see until it's too late. You think you're winning until you're not, he admitted, calling a win over Oliveira the biggest that could have come in his career. That insight from someone who felt Charles's full force underscores just how unpredictable and dangerous the Brazilian still is.
Charles Oliveira, I mean,
Gaethje's got
what he's done lately is impressive. You know, he's been around for so long. His story is really inspiring. You know, being a fan of this sport, most submissions in the history.
Chael Sonnen wrapped up the debate with a unique psychological angle. For him, this fight won't just be decided by skill, but by mindset. Topuria enters the cage like he's bulletproof, but Sonnen believes Charles is one of the few fighters who embraces chaos and comes out sharper. He warned that if Ilia can't close the show early, things will get messy. This bout, Sonnen said, is about more than belts or hype. It's about who breaks last when the lights are brightest.
The host of the story that I just shared for you is Ilia's longtime trainer. And Ilia's story was kind of one of those tough luck, man. He didn't have much money. His story was a lot like Henry Cejudo's, where he's got a mom at home, he's got a brother, they don't really know where to go. They don't have balls and rackets and clubs, but there was this gym and it had a mat in it, and there was a heavy bag, and they stumbled in and somebody like took mercy on him and started training him at a young age. Like his story, it was something along these lines. So when this very coach in this very gym, Ilia and Charles would be a bigger fight, that he thinks they could get more attention, they could get more eyeballs. You have parity, you have something new. I agree with them. I loved that he did this, and it was hard. And the same is more true for Ilia. If he can come in and prove, right? Khabib himself said this is our problem with it. He has not proven. And when that proof comes, it can only go up or down. And if it goes down, we don't need a win over a guy that's down.
This highly anticipated clash pits Topuria's confident, undefeated surge against Oliveira's battle-tested resilience and grappling mastery. With both fighters exuding unwavering self-belief, the stage is set for a high-stakes, unpredictable war. Ultimately, this bout isn't just for a title, it's a monumental test of will and skill in the lightweight division. Share your thoughts in the comments section, and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video.